Good morning, everyone. It is all good in the sisterhood.
Let's go.
Yes, I am super excited to have Joane Casey here with me this morning. Thank you so much for showing up. I'm proud of us. Yes.
Absolutely. We're here. We made it on a cold morning.
We sure did. And I just want to preface this conversation where making everybody understand that Erica's a hand talker, right?
Yes.
So if I
am
like
the
smack
same.
this microphone.
I think it's part of being a woman too. We
Yeah.
love using our hands and expressing ourselves. So.
Seriously. Yeah. Like this mic has been taking a beating. So please forgive me if I'm like slamming my hands into your earbuds this morning. But I'm really jazzed about the conversation that we're about to have.
Yes.
Joane is a life coach and strategist. And her organization, She Envisions, really helps women to create a vision for their
Yes.
life, to create a life that they love. And so
Yes.
I am so thrilled to jump into this conversation with you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
We are thrilled. I'm thrilled to be here to share just our story and anything that can help women go after their vision.
That's right. And the reality is it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to
Right.
be pretty. Like what I always tell my team is, and in everything I've ever done, just let it be a beautiful mess.
Yes.
Like I'm just going to just be very honest with you this morning.
Absolutely.
I'm going to break it down to you, Joane.
Yeah. 100%.
I have two different socks on
I
under
love
these
it.
boots. You
Oh my
see these
gosh.
beautiful, sleek, black
Yes.
pointed
Let's be
boots.
real. 100 in
I
here.
have two separate socks on, and I was looking through the sock
love
basket like a crazy person this morning. Like, how am I
Okay,
gonna
well, hold
find?
on though. You have a sock basket
I have-
too, because I have a
100%.
sock basket too. It's like, good luck, find a match.
Yeah.
Say with the kids.
It's
I'm
a game.
Go
It's
find
a
a matching
game.
sock.
4 children, 4 sons, all those socks.
Wow.
They change 3 times a day, right? Their uniform, sports, and then
Same.
bedtime.
Yep.
Yeah, with the number of socks we go through, like I don't even try. My mom last year she came over to the house and she literally just grabbed my sock basket, threw it away,
Oh.
and was like, "Give me $50. I'm just gonna buy everybody new socks." She had it. She had it
no.
seeing my sock basket. So, yeah, I mean, the reality is it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be pretty.
Just like life.
But you deserve a great vision
Yes.
because of the great way that you were created. Every person, every woman listening today is a miracle.
Absolutely.
They're an absolute miracle.
Yeah. And everyone has a gift, a purpose, and you have something to offer. And you are deserving of living a fulfilled, purpose-filled life. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of the reasons why I started She Envisions. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but everybody has a vision and a purpose in their life. And a lot of us are living unfulfilled because we're not developing our gifts and our vision.
So tell me a little bit about, what a fulfilled vision inspired life looks like for you, because for me, like being here this morning with you, with Mariah, our production
Yes.
team, I have other businesses operating and other leaders, and being able to like share my life and my story and just inspire and bring hope and remind people that life is beautiful. Like that,
Right.
I literally last night, I couldn't even sleep last night, just so excited. And me and Mariah, like Mariah is, texting me as well. Like she's living her best life right
Yes.
now too. And
Hashtag
it's
best
just
life.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like all this energy, and it's just like, we can't put it down. It's so exciting. We want to keep
Yes.
talking about it. And yesterday, just all this whiteboarding and like, it just feels so great. For me, it's just those things that just come natural. There's a natural grain to it. There's no effort. Like
Yes.
it's effortless, and it brings so much energy and excitement.
Yeah.
I had to send her a very clear message. Go to bed, Mariah. Go
1:30 a.m. Go
Yeah.
to bed. Turn
Go
off your
to
phone.
bed. Good grief, young
Yes.
lady, right? But that's like, I think that sometimes people forget, you get stuck in doing whatever everybody else wants
Right.
you to do.
Right.
Or like the grind of like what I have to do, that you forget what it feels like to live out something that's so exciting and creates just all this energy. So what does that look like? Like for women who forgot what that even feels like or looks like,
Sure.
what does that look like?
Well, for me, it's really filling up your own cup is the most important thing. Like every single morning, I have to have that alone time myself, and having that devotion time. I have three different journals that I journal in. I have a vision journal, a gratitude journal, and a prayer journal.
Okay, start again, because I'm the listener who takes notes.
Yes,
And
same.
so number one, you have three different journals. You have
Yes.
the
I have a vision journal, which is what I write my vision every single day, what I envision, prophesying, believing for, looking forward to. And it changes every day,
and is it about your life, your kids, your
Yeah,
husband,
it's all
your
in one. I write it
marriage?
out as if it's happening. So I write, I am financially debt free. I am a size 6 again, whatever, right?
Girl,
My husband and
yes.
I are traveling the world. Our kids are living their best life and their passions, and they're serving God in their gifts. And you just write them as if they are happening. So it's kind of like you're prophesying and you're speaking out into existence. And you could compartmentalize it if you want and, spread it out. You could write it like, for my marriage, for my family, financially. I've gotten the habit of just writing it all out 1 to 2 pages a day. And then I do my prayer journal with just my prayers, like interceding for my family and things like that. And then my gratitude. I always start with the gratitude first because when you have a gratitude mindset, uh, there's nothing that's going to take away your joy. You're not going to give your joy away. Like that's where your joy begins. People, the scripture, the joy of the Lord is our strength. And that's when we live with a thankful heart, being
Yeah.
thankful in all circumstances. And that's what keeps me up in the morning. That's what gets me going. That's what gets me passionate about, getting up and meeting with you this morning
Yeah.
and sharing a message that's going to impact millions of lives, whether it's one or two. It's out there and our story is meant to be shared. We all have a story, a testimony to share. It's not meant for us. There's always purpose to every pain that we walk through. There's purpose in everything that we do. It should never be a mundane life where it's 8 to 5,
And then
mundane life and
checking
checking
out
out.
into social media, checking out
Oh my gosh,
into,
yes.
Netflix, and all of those things are so easy, but I think that we can all come to an agreement that it doesn't feel good. Like when you check out in
Yeah.
life, like you end up, somebody else has now taken charge
Right.
and is creating the life for you. Like they're creating, like all of those social media posts that maybe are created, these marketing channels are
Right.
created to influence the way that you feel about yourself. So they get you
Right.
to buy the latest outfit, buy the latest
Yes.
jewelry, buy the latest,
Right.
join the latest gym, like do all of, they're creating these messaging for you to feel a certain way. And when we check out, we allow someone else the power over our
Right.
lives.
Absolutely.
And
We give other people authority over our lives.
our
We're allowing
thoughts, our
them
emotions.
to fill a void that is not going to be fulfilling and everlasting.
Right.
It's just trying to fill a satisfaction for a moment it's not going to last.
That's right.
Anything that is successful overnight or it's a short-term success, it's not going to last because it hasn't had a strong foundation.
Yeah.
And I think with social media, I mean, there's a lot of ways people feel about it, whether they're all for it or they turn it off. It's a tool, is what it really is.
Right.
It's a tool to share, messages.
And
whether-
having the skill set around that, this is our opportunity to
Yeah.
teach the people in our lives.
Yes.
The my kids will be listening to this podcast.
Yes.
Like the tools that have helped me to be successful, have helped you to be successful. It is truly taking your life back in any area that someone else is trying to influence it.
Right.
Because the truth is that if we're created by design and purpose, then you have to check in and know what that is and live that out.
Right.
So how I love your organization, She Envisions. So walk me through that. Like, what was the passion behind starting that? And just, like what was the inspiration?
The inspiration was I could not hold it any longer inside of me. This uplifting, inspirational, empowering messages that I had, whether it was scripture based or not. I mean, I always used scripture in the Bible, but it was motivational messages, and I just had to get it out. I had to share it with somebody. I couldn't just keep it to myself. So I started out, ironically with social media, right?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm just going to go live and go for it,
I love it.
and it wasn't like I just out of nowhere started. I saw other people doing it, which, I had mentors in my life and coaches. I saw other people doing it and seeing the benefits of it and the results of it and the reward of going live and sharing and reaching people. And so
because that's where people are at, by the way.
yeah,
So
they're
like
there.
if you're gonna have a message of hope and joy, because like the
Yes.
negative messages are so loud, and
Yeah.
I'm all about like, let's get loud, like let's get the
Yes.
like J-Lo,
Let's
let's
get
get loud,
loud.
hey girl, you know, like let's get loud with hope and faith and truth, that
Yeah.
you have the power inside of you to like
Absolutely.
reach for anything you want in life.
Absolutely.
Everybody is so beautifully gifted and designed.
100%.
And if we don't do anything, like if we allow other people to control us and
Right.
rule our minds and
Make
thoughts, well,
decisions for us. So we were created by design. We were created by the ultimate creator, and we are called to live in his image and take on his characteristics and attributes because he's a creator. He's also gifted us with the gift of creating. So when we are creating things, whether it's a message, a podcast, a movement, a business, a ministry, an organization, we are living in our design and our purpose.
Yeah.
So we are created to create things. And when I started going live and sharing my messages, I was just elated and appalled by the amazing results because so many people tuned
so cool.
in.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people were watching live. It became a show.
and it went international like
Yes.
within what, weeks, right?
It's
like
been
the show-
amazing. It took a long journey doing the live messages. It started as the Fulfilled Life show because I was talking about living fulfilled life, you know, and the word fulfilled means to be happy or satisfied by developing one's gifts and talents, which is your abilities. And so that's why we live unfulfilled because we're
Right.
not developing or growing.
you
our
don't even
gifts.
know about yourself.
Yeah, you don't know who you are. You're
to take the
finding your
time.
identity in your job or your career or your marriage or your kids. And that's just part of who you are, but that's not like who you're defined by. I'm not defined by my marriage or my job or my
Yeah.
ministry. I'm defined by who God has created me to be and what he's called me to do,
Yeah.
right? And my gifts and who I'm pouring into. And so we launched our podcast, She Envisions Podcast, on Apple and
Yes.
Spotify. And like she said, within the second, third week, we became international. And
That's
we
so
have
cool.
over 1,000 listeners. And there are hundreds of people tuning in every week. And it's just been so liberating. So from going live to Facebook and social media to now being in a podcast is just a different realm. But it's incredible to hear the testimonies. And honestly, that's what fulfills me, is hearing that one person, you know, being changed by that message.
Yeah.
And being inspired to go after their vision for their life and knowing that they can start over, that it's
Yeah.
not the end for them, that they haven't been forgotten, that their dreams and goals and visions are not just on the shelf for years and years to dust.
I love that, Joanne.
Like, you're not forgotten, ladies. Let's go.
Chills.
Let's get up.
Chills.
Dust off that vision. Get the whiteboard. Get the journal.
Yeah.
Write it out. Like when we do our podcast, I start in the beginning and I say, all right, ladies, get your Sheen Visions journal. And I literally say, go to Ross, get your $3.99 journal. Write the title on it, Sheen Visions. Write the date. Write out what you get out of this episode, because get ready. You're going to take notes. I mean, there's so much power and depth and scientifically proven that when you write things down, you're 79% most likely to do it. More likely to do it.
I write my
when
daily
you
plan
write it down.
every day, girl. And
Every
I
day.
get like, people hate on me like, Erica, there's technology for that.
No.
There's something different
Physically
happened. And
writing.
one of my business consultant made me start with this practice over a decade ago, and I can't tell, like, it has been a game changer for me. So I'm absolutely with you on it. And you know, it's amazing because social media, yeah, like with all of the yucky stuff that's out there for it, like there's also so many wonderful things that come out of it, which is,
Yes.
you know, sometimes we just need to hear a positive message, or sometimes we just need to connect with a woman who can feed into that vision and that hope and that and
Yes.
bring light, right? Because
Right.
it gets dark. Being in
Yes.
this world can be dark,
Yeah.
and we are all carriers of light, and we're to let
Yes.
that light shine. And for somebody who may be listening today and they just feel like darkness all around them, you know, there's amazing women like Joane all over you, like
Right.
all around your community, like
Right.
all around, that want to help and want to be a
Yes.
part of your life. And it takes us just stepping out. I will say, like, in my journey, you know, going through, so, you know, being married for 15
Yeah.
years, and you know some of my story, but, you know,
Yes.
15 years married, and, coming, the divorce, like the divorce is, which is just crazy. Like the only way that I can describe a divorce is a death, right? Like literally you are,
Right. You're
like
mourning.
you are
Loss.
burying a life, right? And then you're like covering it with the dirt and the, like, because it's no more. And then you're walking away from it. You're walking away from a gravesite. And so there's a whole process
Right.
that goes to recovering from divorce and just with the divorce rate and all of that. But one of the things I remember sitting down with my mom, and just one of the things that shocked me is, and I get a little emotional because like it was a tough time, like real talk, right? Like it was a tough thing to work through. But I remember sitting down with my mom because, my mom, she's so encouraging. And my mom, she's fun. Like she's the woman in my life where when I do feel like those dark moments, she's just like, will literally shake it out of me. Like, this is what we're going to do. Like she creates so much focus for me. But I remember telling her for the first time in my whole life since I was a child, I have no vision for my life. Like it went completely dark, Joanne, completely dark for about 9 months. I would wake up. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to be anything. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like I could barely like feed my kids in the morning and like just going through that, you know what I mean? Like going through, the real walk of how do we recover? How do, like nobody under the earth is going to be given a free pass when it comes to like, you're going to go through things. You're going to go through things, right? Like this isn't like a perfect world. It doesn't matter like, what faith you are, or if you've received the Lord, like you're going to go through things. And when it went dark for me and I didn't have a vision for my life, it was truly like one of the scary, like divorce at that point wasn't as scary as just like not having a vision. So for women today, like who have like nothing, like they don't see anything good in front of them anymore. Like they don't know what life's going to look like. It's scary. Right. Like I didn't know.
The unknown, the fear of the unknown.
The fear of the unknown. Like you're literally walking into, what you think is a black hole, but not realizing like there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And it's creating, like we pick up these skills when we walk through adversity.
Absolutely.
Right? That we would have never gotten. And how it all turns out at the end to benefit and bless us. But you kind of have a process to that. Like what does that look like? When it just feels dark, like what do you do?
So every time I hear about people's stories, when I do a coaching session with them, I start with an intake session, which is kind of like a free session to get to know the person and kind of hear their vision and their thoughts. What do you want to get out of the life coaching? What is your purpose? What is the end goal? And if they're just like where you were, I have no idea. I've lost it all. I need to start over. I don't know where to go in my life. I would just encourage them that, light shines brightest in the darkness. You cannot have light without darkness. And you cannot have darkness without light, right?
It's true.
When you walk in a dark room, right, when you turn that light on, darkness leaves right away. And you see the whole full picture. And that's kind of how God works. He doesn't show us the full picture. He just gives us a little piece of the puzzle. And he sees how he could trust you with that little piece.
Darn you.
You're like, really, God? Like, can you just give me the blueprint and the step-by-step?
If you would
I'm a
just
planner.
be clear.
Like, just give me the next 5 years, like, day by day,
What do you want from me?
But we just got to start small. Right? Like what can we focus on today in the next 24 hours and this next week? What do you want to take a step towards? What is your desire that you need to fill right now? What is that void? Are you heartbroken? Are you missing relationships in your life? Do you feel isolated, or do you feel depressed? Like there's so many layers. You got to get to the root of like, let's just start with the most important. What is the loudest thing right now that is holding you back and kind of have you in chains, right? And
really
in
powerful.
your story, it could be, betrayal. It could be, being abandoned. It could be all these things. And I think a lot of women today, even listening to this podcast, Erica, can completely relate to your story because of what has happened with, the pandemic and losing jobs. And we talked about this earlier. I am literally a testimony of that, of losing my job in a dark time and having to switch roles and now be stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home homeschool, and figuring out financially, how am I going to feed my kids today? How am I going to provide for my family? And learning, like, I can't rely on everyone else anymore. I can't rely on a job. I can't rely on resources.
Heck, even the government, you think about
Right.
like Social Security and the state of
Oh,
Social Security
that's
right now.
non-existent now. Like,
Right. It's
you can't
pretty
even,
wild.
You can't even rely on that.
Right.
But to your question, how do you find that joy and fulfillment in your life when you're in such a dark place? You learn to hold on to that little piece of light, like I said, at the end of the tunnel. Like, what is one thing? What is one win, one celebration, one piece of joy that you can turn to? Even for faith believers that are fully, involved in their Christian walk, they go to a dark place and they realize, like, they need to find that place again, that place of joy where they originally had it from. And
Well, it's because we're human, right?
yeah,
Like,
we're gonna go through things. That's what the Bible says. You're
our
gonna
body's
go
gonna
through
our
things.
bodies decompose just like everyone else. Like, our bodies need health and nutrition, and so do our
Yes.
minds. And
Right.
when it comes to those moments in life, I'll tell you, like, for me personally, and I love sharing the story of the other side.
Yes.
Like, how do you get to the other side?
Right.
And now it's a message of how do you start over? How do you start over in life? And I'm grateful that even the business that I built with my ex-husband, shut that down and had to start it over and do other things. But I can truly say, like, on the other side of that really dark place, I like
Right.
me better.
Yes.
I like the person that I am better now on this side.
Right.
Right now it's like, okay, how do we serve? How do we
Yes.
get people to the other side as quickly as possible?
Right.
And so, like, for you, that has to do with, like, really understanding the vision. And I love how you write it down. How do you get the time to write that much? Because I'm like, holy moly, I have my journals there. Like, I do
Sure.
have my journals. I focus on, what is most important to me for that moment, which is always, like, something that's going to help me feel centered with, like, Erica, this is who you are, because everybody's
Right.
pulling on who you are and, like, what
Sure.
in your
Oh,
time.
and you're
So I
pouring
gotta
out all the time.
right. So I need to feel like who I am. But how do you find the time to do all of those other things, like casting the vision daily?
Yes.
Girlfriend, you
Daily
write like
vision
a couple
cast it.
pages. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. It started out
It's
just
clearly a
writing the
passion
day.
for you.
It really is. I'm
Right.
actually working on writing a book right now.
I would love to
and
read that.
Creating a journal
Teach
format.
us, girl.
And
Teach this sisterhood.
I'm working on this.
Teach
It's a
it.
process, the publishing and all that stuff. It's
Yes.
a big, long process. But you guys, we all have 24 hours. We all have 24 hours, and we all get to choose how we spend those 24 hours.
That's true.
So because I have children who are in elementary right now, my beautiful kids.
Oh, yay.
Jocelyn is 9. She's going to be 10 next month, and Judah is 8. And they're busy, right? They're busy, and I take them to school every morning. And for me, I have to be ready myself before I get them up. So I get up at 5 a.m., believe it or not. And you hear about these books, 5 a.m. access. It's not perfect every single day, but 5 to 5:30 is my wake-up call. And I give myself that hour. I need that hour, like at least for sure 30 to 45 minutes to invest in myself. And I time block. I block out my time and my schedule for when I was home doing this and running my coaching business and working from home and homeschooling. I had to block out my time and dedicate it completely to what that hour was for. So that morning hour time, that is me time. That is Joanne's devotion time, my vision writing time, my prayer time. And then I was telling Erica earlier, I was like, working out wise, I used to be at workout 30 minutes a day, but that's still a stretch. I don't push myself, you guys. I'm realistic. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
I'm like, just do a minimum of 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Whether that's a walk for 15 minutes, doing squats and rotation, yoga, Pilates, whatever. I use the Fit On app. It's free. You can go and download it. And I just make sure I get my body moving. So that is my daily routine.
Yeah.
Having daily habits, time blocking. And honestly, I have an episode on my podcast called New Habits, Not Resolutions. And it's about the habits are promises to yourself. right? We serve everyone else. Erica, you serve your business,
Right.
your team, your
My
your
4
coaches,
children.
your 4 children.
Yes.
We serve everybody else. We give everyone else our time, especially
Right.
mamas, right? We and entrepreneurs,
Right.
people like you and I, visionaries, we give everybody else our time. We give and we give and we pour out. But what are we giving to ourselves? What are we, pouring into our spirit and our mind, like you said, to be centered in who Erica really is?
Yeah.
Who are you giving to yourself? What are you gifting to yourself? And so when I talk about habits, that, John Maxwell says success is found in your daily habits, right?
Yeah.
What you do every day, the rule of 5. Y'all can
This
go
is
look
true.
it up. I do that. I do my rule of 5 every day. And that is where I stem all this energy from. How they were like, how do you do it? How do you run a business and run coach in a ministry and your kids and football mom and all these things? I stick to my daily habits.
Yeah.
And what it is,
And
it's
freaking lead all the time. Like whenever we're, I remember like at That Girl, I'm like, every corner, I'm like, there she is again. And there she is again. And then she's on stage. And then she's over, like
I love
everywhere.
it.
Like you're running everywhere.
Honestly, like it's serving. It's the heart of being a
Yeah.
servant leader. And
Yeah.
like you're serving in any realm that you're at, you're serving. And when you're leading anything, you are the greatest servant. You're serving the most. Because
Right.
you're giving the most. It may not be you doing everything, but you are giving the most because you have to carry the vision.
Well,
you have
and
to implement the
you know what?
the structure.
That couldn't be any more true than
Yeah.
the fact that we're servant leaders of our home.
Absolutely.
And, many of our listeners are moms. How do you teach your children to cast that vision and to live visionary lives? Like these conversations that we have that really just pump us up and keep us excited, they may not be as sexy to a child.
Right.
Like they're
No.
not really into
You
it.
have to
Like
get
mom,
to their level. Yeah.
right? Like how would you advise a mom to help their children see bigger than just whatever is annoying them in class or the mean teacher or the coach who is
Right.
making them do too much? Like how do you
Yeah.
get them to see a bigger picture?
Yeah. I always go back to our beliefs, our core beliefs, like how everything we do is faith-based and scripture-based. And I always go back to scripture and I always go back to this is what the word says and this is what we believe in. A big lesson is turning the cheek, right? Don't worry. I've taught my kids to defend themselves. I said, if someone hurts you,
Yeah.
you have every right to
Right,
hurt
buddy.
them back, okay? And they better be on the floor, not you.
Oh.
And hey, I'm not going to punish my children for defending themselves.
Oh, for sure.
Right? And so
Yeah.
it's the whole mindset behind it of like, you know what? They might be bullying you and hurting you because they're living in a different life. I always
Like,
show
we don't know what their situation
compassion
is.
and empathetic.
Yeah.
I teach them to be empathetic and compassionate, even with their coaches and leaders. And, he's yelling at you because he wants you to be better and he wants you to get better at, dribbling the ball and running drills. And, I help them see the bigger picture as far as the rewards of it. We talk
Yeah.
about risk and reward. The reason why you're going to school is so that you can learn how to be a functional adult, so that you can pay your own bills
Yeah.
and have a job. Like my kids are literally working at Chick-fil-A as their first job. I already have it lined up. Only because I want them to learn how to have good service, like customer service. But like,
I mean, it's next level
moms,
too. Just
yeah.
that, like, it's my pleasure.
yes, it's my pleasure.
Like,
and
you
like,
just
how
changed
many
my whole
sauces do
day.
you want?
Right.
And they give you, they have the best customer service.
They're generous.
and they're so, yeah.
They're our
it's all
core
about
character.
the customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel it. And
hospitality.
you know what we do? What we need to do, Mariah, if she's listening, she is back there listening. We need to like print out the whole Kathy like core values. I'd love to see because they have done
yes.
such a phenomenal job of like the core values in that organization going all the way across, all the way down to the
Absolutely.
last person that you see that's handing you the drink, that's handing you
Yep.
the straw, that's cleaning the bathrooms, that's like
That's
from
right.
top to bottom, those core values,
Mm-hmm.
that's that they have created. That's casting the vision.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so you're going to throw your kids into that Chick-fil-A. That's
I'm
a good
like,
plan. I
hey,
like that, Joane.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you. I
That's a
mean,
good
and I
plan.
might just say you have to work there for at least a year, and then tell me what you want to do. What do you learn? Only because I have seen so many I see so many moms put pressure on their kids. Do good in school, do good in school. Well, maybe that's not like the best way to drill them to just do great in school. Let's be more specific. Like my daughter loves art. Okay, she loves art. And she's like, oh, my teachers are so strict. They yell at me. I'm like, well, why are they yelling at you? I was like, well, they're just wanting you to do good. You know, they want to make sure that you're, and I get behind, you got to break down the layers for them, you know, because they just see the mean kids and the mean teachers and everything's out to get them. And it's like, no, they're trying to literally teach you. This is real life.
Right.
When you get out of school, you have to find a job or create your own business to create your own finances. And I teach our kids like financial, like, you know, our house and our car and all these things, they don't just come. Like you have to work
Right.
for what you want in life, you know?
Right. Reward comes when you solve problems. And
Yes.
when you solve problems with a great
Absolutely.
attitude and at a high level, you get rewarded very differently on the earth. The marketplace rewards you differently when you show up with a different attitude. And one of the things, like in terms of attitude, just because we're on the subject of kids, and hopefully our listeners are getting value, like our moms out there, you know, for our home, it's all about honor. Like
Right.
I want to show honor to our pets, to the way that I talk to my children, it's with
Right.
honor. And when they're out there with their coaches, they're speaking with honor. When they're with their teachers, they're speaking with honor, because I don't care if you don't like their teaching style or their coaching
Right.
style.
You honor them.
At the end of the day, who else is investing in your life and in your improvement, even if it's a level of just accountability and they're just like on you, like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Well, who else is shining a light on these like dark spots or these gaps in your life that you
Right.
may have, that, you know,
Yeah.
like who else is doing that for you? So we should welcome, you know, the
Absolutely.
people that make us better, not criticize what they're saying, but honor the voices in our
Right.
lives that we have in this season,
Absolutely.
to and take their feedback and say, I'm not going to internalize, even if it's something like, if somebody says, Erica, you're not great at this, and I know that I'm built for something, like, I'm not going to take that. I'm okay. Thank you for the feedback. We sort and qualify and filter, right?
Yes.
But from the heart of honor, like, I'm always going to come from a place of honor
Right.
and respect.
Absolutely.
And if we can teach our kids to function in the marketplace, in the home first, right?
It
With
starts
honor,
in the home, moms.
right?
Everything starts in the home.
Like if we can just do that, and it starts with us.
Yeah.
That's the reality is,
Yep.
you know, like, oh, my kid needs to do this, or my teenager, right? Like,
teenagers. Oh, geez.
yeah. And
Not
I
there,
have,
I'm not
I
there
have
yet.
3
I'm
teenagers.
not there yet. I'm gonna be coming to you, Erica.
Girlfriend, I have 3 teenagers right now, and then my
Wow.
8-year-old. And, you know, it's about that honor conversation, and that honor being part of the culture code that
Yes.
just oozes honor. Like, I'm going to honor my children with the
So
meals they
good.
make. I'm going to honor my children with a
Yes.
peaceful home, a clean home, an organized home.
Yes.
I'm going to
Order.
honor my children with, you know, moments together. I'm going to honor them by allowing their voices to be heard. And then we create this understanding in their lives that, oh my gosh, you're so valuable.
That's it.
And
That's
you're created
Yeah.
with this like vision and purpose. Now, what is that? Because those are things that only God can show them. I can't show
Right.
them
Right.
that
But
part
you're-
of their life.
But that is the key tool right there, is the honor code. And again, it goes back, that's your belief, your core values.
And once again, Chick-fil-A does it
Yes,
very well.
exactly. Right. But honestly, when
Girlfriend.
you can honor up, honor down, all the way around, when you teach your kids
Ooh,
to
say
honor,
that again.
When you honor
Can we-
up,
Yes.
you honor down, and you honor all the way around. That
All
is
the
a
way
biblical, literally principle. It's a biblical principle. Jesus did it. His disciples did it.
I love it.
It's honoring in every aspect. Do everything unto the Lord. And that's what I teach our kids. Like, when you do it in an excellent way. And excellence means attention to detail. Like, when you do something, you do it with a full heart.
Yeah.
With a good heart,
Be
with a great
there.
attitude. And in
Yeah.
an honoring way. And I love how you put that, being a mom, doing dishes, doing laundry, doing it over again on repeat. And it's honoring your children.
Yeah.
And it's honoring your home that the Lord blessed you with. And people always want all the big things, the nice car, the big houses, the big business. They want all these things, but they're not willing to pay the price for it. And they're not willing to prepare for it. Or they're not willing to
Girl, talk about
work for it.
Girl, talk
Okay,
about it.
everybody
Yes.
wants this overnight influencer status success, but they're not willing
Yeah.
to put in the work to create the content, to build the audience, to
Heck,
do
to
all
learn
these things.
and grow and make the
Yes.
changes in yourself that
on.
it takes to get there. Because the truth is that if I qualified to be there, I would be there. But the
Right.
reality is I don't qualify. So I have to make the changes
Absolutely.
to me, inside of me. I have to grow. My disciplines, my habits, my
Yes.
information has to change so that I can get there. Otherwise, I would have been there. But you don't
Absolutely.
qualify until you're willing to grow.
It starts with the inner heart versus the outward.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of people think, even if, and then the way I've heard it is your gifts can take you there, even if you have the talents and the gifts, but your character is what's going to keep you there. Because if somebody could talk you into quitting what you thought you were called and your purpose and you were designed to do, then you were never meant to do in the first place. Because it's your character that's what's going to keep you. Like you said, your disciplines, your habits, your beliefs, the inner, the mentality of being able to stick and grind it out.
Yeah.
That's what's going to get you to your vision and stay in your vision and what your purpose is. So
I love it. Honoring your vision that's inside of your heart. So I was, I had mentioned this in another podcast, like I'm 38. It ain't too late.
that's
I'm
right.
38
Hey,
at
that
an age, it ain't too
rhymes.
late.
38 ain't too late.
I don't know how old you are, Joanne. But what did so I will say this, like me in my 20s, I was a completely different person. Not a completely different. I mean, there were core things about me
Right.
that were the same, but like the way that I had so many areas in my life to grow and so many areas in my life that I was so sure on, right? Like,
Right.
so tell me about you in your 20s. Like, what did that look like? How would you advise that girl?
So I grew up really quickly as well. I got married at 22.
Yeah, 21.
And life happened real quick. I got
Sure
married
does.
and I saved myself, to have sex till I got married.
That's beautiful.
So my husband was my first and one and only.
My husband was my
And
first.
I love that. So
Yay.
ladies, it is possible. Pray over your daughters, pray for their husbands, create the guidelines, guide them in that area. And I just knew it was going to be, God was going to bless it no matter what, and 'cause that was the promise I made to God and to myself, to honor him in my body with it. And so when we got married, you're new to all of it. You're just going at it in birth control. Anyways, long story short, I forgot to renew and I got pregnant 5 months later.
Like,
So
oops.
I got married. We got married. We became youth pastors. I got pregnant 5 months later. We bought our first house 3 months before she was born. Like, life just happened.
Yeah.
And I'm 22 years old. And I had to grow up really fast, and I had to learn how to be a wife and be a mom all at once. And I had to find who I was and like you said, in my core. Like, I was at a different season in my life too, where a lot of things mattered to me. I valued people's opinions. I was seeking approval from everyone, my pastors, my leaders, even my husband, all these things. And I was just living life for everyone else for the longest time that I can remember.
Yeah.
And Erica, you can relate to this because
sure
this
can,
is
yes.
literally, but it has shaped who I am now. I've
does.
had learned that people are always going to fail you. Obviously,
Yeah.
God's never going to fail you, but
Right.
I
Not
had
one
to,
person in
they-
life
yeah.
is ever going to make you happy.
they're all human.
Right.
We're all human.
Everyone's
we
gonna
all
make
have
mistakes.
faults.
Yeah.
We all, and I myself am not this perfect. Yes, I have a great schedule and habits and boundaries, but I'm still messed up. A hot
Yeah.
mess express too.
A beautiful mess.
A beautiful mess. Right? Our mess turns into our message, ladies. Right?
It should.
Our
I really
test
hope it
turns
does.
into a testimony,
Good
like
Lord,
all those
I hope it
things.
does.
But
Yes.
it really does. You can't have a healing without a broken, messed up. What do they call it? What is it?
Well, you gotta know. You
Like-
gotta know what you don't want, and sometimes you just gotta walk through that, right?
Right.
What do I not want in my life anymore, and then what
Yes.
do I want?
Exactly. So same with you.
I
At
figured it out in my 20s, yeah.
In 20s, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is it. I'm going to have a house by this time.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my business by this age. I'm going to have this, and this. And it was totally like, God was like, okay, that's cute and that's nice, but you're totally not ready for any of that. Like, let's just focus on who you
Yeah.
are. right now in your season.
Right.
I think that's the most important thing I would share with anybody that's struggling with, like if you're in your 20s and you're just so like, what do I do with my life? Where am I going to be? Who am I going to be at? Like,
Yeah.
you can write it down and say, I'm going to be this, this, and this by this age, but like, you can't restrain yourself to that. Like, focus on your character and what you believe in, what's going to be valuable and beneficial to you in your season now. Because something I've heard so powerful, and I think it was what podcast I listen. I'm a big podcaster, obviously,
Me too,
because I
girl.
I listen to podcasts, and now I am a podcaster. It's so powerful if you can like invest into your spirit and your mind and anything by listening to podcasts. Anyways, I think it was John Maxwell, but he said you can't get to tomorrow unless you focus on to today, and you
Yeah.
can't worry about yesterday because it's gone. So today is the gift. Today is where you can make the most impact. And what are you doing today
That's
that's going to
powerful.
really
Yeah.
change tomorrow? Because we're not promised tomorrow, right? Like, I'm literally going to a funeral today. It's really sad. He was battling cancer, but like it just
Oh,
hits you
wow.
because you're like, what am I doing today to honor my husband,
Yeah.
honor my children, and really make it count?
Yeah.
Today is the day that you have, ladies, women of God, women entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
people that are wanting to build her movement. Come on.
That's right.
That Smart Her movement. This is an incredible movement that's going to change so many lives. And ladies, it starts with who you are and what you believe in and who you are when you lay your head down at your pillow at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think I'm 100% with you. It was the reality of, Erica, it's more important who you're becoming than what you have.
Yes. That's so good.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's so powerful. Yeah.
am I becoming somebody who other people can count on, who I can count on, who's good to me, who loves me too, right? Like, am I becoming, I envision myself as like that old lady with the soft hands, like in my old age. I want to be like that old woman, like that is like showing up every day as the best and most loving version of herself. And people can come and say anything. You know what I mean? Like the most shocking thing,
Yes.
the craziest, most shocking thing. And they get nothing but like love and like hope and like life.
Yes.
Like life just exudes out of me.
Yes.
That's what I want to become. And before it was always like, I've got to have this business has to perform at, 7 figures by this time, and this team has to, and so as I've grown and as I've changed and as I've focused on like, okay, well, I would much rather at this point in my life become the leader that causes people to step out and grow in areas of their life because they have that financial freedom. They have that understanding of money, and they're getting those things right, and they're putting a foundation and they're putting a foundation to their life to be able to build off of, right? Because money is more important than anyone is talking about. And I say it every time. Money is more important than anyone is telling you. Like it creates problems. It solves solutions. You've got women have to be open to talking about it.
Yes.
And they have to be willing to learn about it, right? Like I want to become someone who
educates women.
Yeah, like
It's a tool. Money is a tool.
money is a tool.
And it's how you use it and how you don't use it or allow it to control you, or you try to hold too tightly to it that you lose out on.
It's a magnifier in your life, right? Of
the
like who
rewards
you
of-
really are.
It reveals who you are.
It does.
That's exactly. Whether you are a big name brand person or you are a giving person, it reveals who you are. And it's exactly what you said. I think there's just a lack of education in women as far as business and utilizing their money as a tool and recognizing that they have the ability to choose what they want to do,
Yes,
what they desire to do with it.
absolutely. And to learn and grow in
Yeah.
that. Like, tell us like one of your money mistakes, because we've all done it. We've all been there.
Geez. My husband would love to sit on here and tell you all of my money mistakes. I have invested into, I was telling Erica earlier, a couple $1,000s on, false coaches that I had thought. I just believed all in, because I saw the results of their life, but they're in a different realm and position than I was. And I had thought that I could get there on their program and their this. And so I would just say, do your research before
Yeah, like
investing into anything.
we're all going to make money mistakes. That's the reality.
Right.
Like, so deal with it. Don't beat yourself up.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Oh, I've learned so
be
much
willing
from
to move on and then do something you're going to thank yourself for
Yes.
tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, learning and listening to this podcast and being a part of this community, you're going to
Yes.
thank yourself
Yeah.
tomorrow, because we're all about,
Right.
the Smarter Movement is all about getting your money right, like helping women to get their money right. So we're pushing out
Yes.
content and information and training and giving the tools to help people do that, right? And it
Yeah.
starts with your 5-year financial plan.
Good.
But when you had your money mistake, like, what did you learn? Like, what's the person that you became after that experience? Because it was all about the journey of like who you
Yes.
became, right? Like,
Absolutely.
so like your
Yeah.
wisdom increased in that area. Like what?
Yes, I was very selective with who I was going to put my money into. And I looked at their fruit in their life, their character, not just their business and
Yeah.
their figures. I looked at who they were, what they believed in. Did their core values aligned with my core values? And do they have actual fruit in their life outside of the numbers and the
Yeah.
figures? And I invested my next investment into a beautiful coach, which is my business coach, and she ended up being my life coach, and she actually became the what do you call it, the one that really motivated me to launch my business or my life coaching.
That's incredible.
Without her, there was no way I ever would have been able to sit here and say I've coached
Yeah.
this and this many clients and have seen successful clients
Yeah.
live out their vision.
It's amazing because one of the things that my mentor would always say to me was, Erica, every good thing comes through a person and every bad thing comes through a person.
Yeah.
So the realization that
Right.
like I have to have people skills. I have to understand how to sort and qualify people. I have to ask questions. I actually have a journal of questions. You have
I
your 3
love
different I have a
that.
journal of questions. Like, I want to know, I want to learn, I want to grow. And if we don't master, understanding people, and we're never going to master, first off, we're never going to master that area, right? Because
Sure.
there's the depths of like the human life that was created, like that's infinite, right? But are we growing to understand so that we can minimize losses, increase,
yes.
those areas in our life that bring profit and bring income and an increase and all of those things. And so, yeah, that was always impactful. And when I was in my 20s, I was just, oh, there's, just, I always, I would hear that and I didn't quite get it the way that it hits different, girl.
It does. Yeah.
You could 38, it ain't too late. It hits different on this side when I hear every good thing comes through a person, every bad thing comes through a person. But remembering that good thing comes through a person, like there will be a person out there that will, teach you the ropes, and the fastest way to learn is through mentorship. And we
Yes,
need people
absolutely.
like that. Just because you go through a loss or you lose money on something
Sure.
doesn't mean you go into a hermit status and
Sure.
then and be unwilling to reach for that information and be unwilling to grow in that area anymore just because there was a loss. Like, pick yourself up, girl.
Yeah.
From
And
the bootstraps.
you learn from it. You just
That's
learn
right.
from it. Just like any mistake, you learn from it and you move on. And it makes you stronger, wiser, like you said. And I love that you shared that you had to learn that every good and bad thing comes from people. We can never get to a vision on our own. You know,
That's
they
right.
say if you want to go further, you don't go alone. You go with other people. Like every
That's right.
vision always involves other people. It always
does.
involves other people. Like this movement, you cannot be, I mean, trust me, I tried doing a podcast by myself, everything. I mean, editing, recording, promoting.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not ready to launch. Like it's missing something. And then God brought the right person into my life. Ironically enough, it was one of my clients, one of my coaching clients, and she's super open about it, which is so great. She's now my co-host of my podcast.
That's so cool.
Without her, there was no way I could have launched the
Right.
podcast. She has a different element. She's a real estate. She owns her own business in real estate, and she's
They bring a
Hispanic,
different
and
flavor,
she's just,
inspiration.
Yeah, and we just have conversation on our podcast, and it's so great. Different elements. She's not a mom. Other things. So you're not alone, ladies. Mamas out there, women in business, get around the right people. Get right mentors in your life.
Yeah. And
you know?
circling back to the social media, utilizing social media as the tool, finding the right people, having social media help you to find the right
Yes.
people. I've had people DM me, women that will just say like, hey, I just like what you're about. Like, do you want to have coffee? Sure.
Yes.
Let's do it. Like, I just like what you just pushed out. Like, let's have lunch. Like, I've got some questions for you. The
Yeah.
reality is, like, we're all made for connection.
Absolutely.
And even if we
Community.
go through tough things or losses, stay in the game of people because every
Absolutely.
good thing is going to come through a person. And we're coming to an end here. And, you know, some of the, I love to think about life as, you know, we're like walking on the earth seed sowing, right? Like everywhere I go, I'm sowing seeds.
Absolutely.
Even if I stop sowing seeds, that's still a seed, right? Because it's going to create a harvest of nothing. Like me sowing nothing creates a harvest of nothing, right?
Absolutely,
So as
right.
I do the dishes and I honor my children, or as I,
Yes.
you know, lead a company, or as I'm walking on a stage to plant seeds of hope for,
Yeah.
you know, people all
Love
around the
it.
world, like whatever
Yes.
that is, I'm sowing seeds, and it's the seeds
Right.
of my life that will create a harvest, right? So
Yes.
I can control my harvest
Absolutely.
through the seeds that I sow. What do you want the harvest of your life to look like? Like, what three things do you want?
Wow.
You know, what are you planting? You know, you're planting all these seeds, but like at the end, when it's all said and done, what do you want the harvest of your life to
I
look
love
like?
that. It's crazy that you're saying that word because here we are in 2022, and that is the word for my year.
Is it?
Harvest.
Ah,
I'm
I
not
love
even kidding.
it.
I have my journal in my purse. I will
So
show it.
cool.
That is my word for this year because
like, "It's in my purse, and I will show it to you."
I believe that I'm literally walking in one of my harvest
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
You know my story. I moved to Fort Worth 5 years ago to help plant our church.
Yeah.
Just serving and working full time, serving.
Yeah.
I recently transitioned my job, and I got offered full-time position working on staff at the church 5 years later.
Yeah.
But it was a big transition. I love what you said because that is everything that we do. We're sowing into people. The greatest investment you could put into our relationships, our people. One area is obviously in the ministry in the church is that I want to see the harvest in that, and I'm already seeing it through my children. Which is them getting filled with the Word of God and them being hungry for the Word of God and harvesting in my children. That's one huge important thing. My marriage and my children, my family are number one. My first ministry, my first soil that I seed into.
Your calling, yeah.
Everything that I do is for them and in them first. Like if we have a successful ministry or business, it's not successful if your family isn't, you know? And I mean, to me, my kids knowing who they are and honoring everything that they do, that's the harvest, which I'm seeing now,
That's
which is
beautiful.
amazing. And the other one is through Envisions is really creating that community and movement of people actually walking in their vision. And I've seen it through my coaching. And I love that you talked about social media because can I be honest? I never sought out my coaching clients. They sought me.
That's amazing.
They literally, my co-host that I'm talking to you about that helped me launch my podcast, that was one of my most successful clients. She DM'd me on social media.
Wow.
And wanted to get together for coffee and talk about coaching. And I
That's
said,
incredible.
absolutely.
Hi.
And half
Here
my
for
clients
it.
are
Let's-
like in other states, in California,
Wow.
Georgia, other
You're a
states.
Zooming queen.
And hey, thank God for Zoom in 2020,
Yes.
right? Because without it, I had no business.
Serious.
And so just seeing other women walk in their vision and creating their avenue and their space of influence so that they can sow their gifts into other people. And the Bible says when you refresh others, you yourself will be refreshed. And that is, I'm constantly a sower. Like that is like when we're getting right now getting together with you. That I love that I get to sow into this incredible movement and seeing women being changed by being educated on using their money.
That's right.
With wisdom.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And a third would be my health. Like I really want to see harvest in my health. Not just working out all the time because I will work out every day, but my diet's horrible. I am a sugar queen. Like you bring in the sweets, I'll have one of everything.
Wow.
It's the worst. And just taking care of my health with my diet, and so that I can outlast.
We need you here a long time,
things.
girl.
Yeah, for my children, for my
Yeah.
grandchildren, my great grandchildren. You think long term, and so when you think about harvests it's what you're sowing right now. That's where your harvest is going to come
Right.
from.
Right.
Whether it's your family, your finances, and I know I already said three things, but the other thing is the financial, and that's why I'm
Yeah.
getting with Erica, because she's going to
Girlfriend.
help me get that 5-year plan.
do this.
I told her, I said, let's do this, because I think that's the one major thing that holds people back from pursuing their dreams and their visions or their goals, because they're stuck with their job or, their mundane day-to-day, duties, and they get stuck and they feel unfulfilled because they're like, well, I got to pay the bills. I got to keep the lights on. And I was like, well, we weren't created to just live like robots. It's not
Right.
about what we do all the time. It's who we are.
Seriously, like
know?
it's like I do see people sometimes just clocking in and out, and then they're like zombies.
Yeah, no.
And it's
we're not
crazy.
called to live that.
We're not. And we
lifestyle.
need people like you. We need your mind. We need your energy. So yeah, stay healthy. I don't know where in the Bible it says like my mom always says this, like we can like it's biblical. We can live up to 120 years. So she's believing for 120 years.
Let's
I'm like,
go. My grandmother passed away.
that's
2
quite the
years ago.
retirement plan, folks.
She was 107. My grandmother is 107.
What?
She literally lived
That's
off
in
of
your genes.
rice and fish.
Good. Wow.
She maybe just had a Daniel fast for her whole life. Literally.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
love
people
that.
People didn't have refrigerators back in the day.
Yeah.
Or frozen foods.
It had to be
chemical
fresh, right?
stuff.
Processed
food.
stuff.
So it's literally plant-based diet is the way to go, honestly.
Yeah, a good friend of mine always says, if you can't pick it and you can't kill it, then don't eat it. And there's some of the like most amazing just health and fitness gurus. I'm excited to we'll get them on the show as well. But yeah, that's the new theme in my home as well. I'm teaching the boys, because we got to teach the kids, like that's part of casting that vision, like that you're healthy, that you're strong, that you're physically fit, that you're able to accomplish those that big vision that is in your heart to do. We got to take back every part of our lives and be willing to do it, because we control our harvest, right? Like we can control that. Like we can plant the seeds and then see that harvest, and then you just like believe that the Lord is blessing it and see how far it goes, and it just compounds. It's just so exciting. So
I love that.
I love that you've been here with us this morning. Thank you so much for your time. And why don't you tell everyone where we can find you? Like, I want to hear more of you. I want to see more of your videos. Like, where can we find you?
Let's go. Thank you so much for having me on SmartHERMovement. This is going to be incredible. You guys can go to sheenvisions.com. We do have a website where you could go subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah.
I'm on social media, she_envisions. And that's literally the best way. All our information.
Where are you at on Instagram?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's she_envisions.
Okay.
And Facebook as well.
So if they want to connect with you personally,
yes, they can go click on the link on our Instagram.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And we do have an email. You could email us to sheenvisions2@gmail.com, or just go to my personal Instagram, Joane Casey. I'm there all the time. Check out my stories. I am live and thriving on there, and I love it. It's just so fun. I do love the social media realm, and I know Eric and I have connected a lot too.
Yeah.
On social, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
Yeah, us too. Well, thank you so much, Joanne, for being a part of the sisterhood community. And
Such
great
an honor.
Great things. We're excited to see your journey as you launch into all of the areas that you're called to. So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone,
Thanks for
have a
having
great
us.
day.
Enjoy your day.
Bye, guys.